welcome again to another big acronym show, Standout, coming to you live for those of you on Discord, which is no one right now.
No one.
But it's still live to the bots that are listening. Thank you, BibleBot. We are at Woodland Lakes Christian Camp, and we are in the Ohio room again, and we love this room.
Did you start recording on OBS?
Yes, I did. Don't bother me right now.
I didn't know if you did.
So we've got the same 4 people around the table as last week. We're
But the
so happy
table's
to have
square, so you can't call it.
Yeah, I said round, like
okay.
apostrophe round.
Okay. I see how that works.
And the table is moved to the other side because we're thinking we get better Wi-Fi connection because the router is like below us here instead of when it was over on that side. We have a dry erase board behind us instead of a beautiful fireplace, but yeah, now we can enjoy the fire. I can't, but you guys can enjoy the fireplace.
Yeah.
And you get to enjoy me too in front of the fireplace. Like I'm looking down to it.
I think all we see is your head on that
life
camera.
Must be really bad when you're not able to enjoy the fireplace right now.
No.
That's a really great view of the fireplace with the cross over it
And a good feeling of warmth.
Yeah.
Someday, potential warmth.
I know the cross is hanging over Sean's shoulder, so. No, other one. There you go.
Really?
Yeah. From my angle, it's.
Oh, okay. It seems like it would be there. All right. Anyway, so welcome back to
Just
all of
looks
you.
like you're-
Good to see you again. We also have my lovely wife Leslie running video again. Hello, Leslie. Nora is somewhere. Oh, she's down there. She's
It's
going to be
Nora.
manning the wheel again.
Nora.
And we have Stephanie with us. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello. I will probably mainly be manning the wheel.
She will be fighting Nora for wheel time, and we'll see who spins the best stuff. Why don't we go ahead and spin it real quick right now.
Nora White or Stephanie
We'll give
White?
Nora a chance to spin first and see how she. You don't feed it.
Feed it. Feed it power.
Not gonna give it gas. And we begin with
Probably push the button again.
push the button.
Again.
We have this thing so rigged to start with push the button. I like it though because
Lucas-
it helps establish a precedent. Of
Yeah, I'll
what we
let
have.
someone else push it.
Okay, hang on.
This was recorded
So-
by Nora White.
So Nora recorded the message that's on the button this time, and we're going to hear it.
Are we?
now.
Push it? You gonna push it?
What?
Adama a mullet?
Yeah, he needs some milk.
Is that from
Is that
something?
what that is?
I don't even know where the first part it says.
It's
Okay.
just it's Nora.
Well, we'll see how that comes up again.
Some milk.
Yeah.
All right.
Got it.
Last week's was so universal.
Yeah,
All right.
and then
So now maybe you guys can alternate, and she can spin it the next time, and we'll see how that goes.
Oh, we're spinning it
Okay.
again?
No, we're not. Actually, we're stopping it. Okay, good.
Okay.
So we are. Oh, there goes the time. We are falling apart. We're getting ready to start here. I have taken the liberty of loading everything into Discord so that we can just look on the screen on Discord, and Owen can film it apparently.
Yay.
Do you think maybe it's
Dead
time
bot.
to stop, Owen?
Dead Bob.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm stopping.
See, this way now you guys don't have to look at a regular screen while the people on Discord don't know what the screen looks like until they see the video. You can just look at the stuff on here. So we are continuing with 1 Peter, and we are now into chapter 2. And we're going to get started in just a minute here. How's everybody's week been, by the way?
It's been a long week.
Dead inside.
yeah.
Kind of sunny week.
Yeah,
It's
a
too
little
hot.
bit. Little sunny.
Yep.
You guys good over on this side?
I've done
Yeah,
nothing.
it's okay.
Lucas did nothing.
I did nothing this week.
He actually stayed on that side over there and just waited for us.
The entire week.
When
You
are they
could have
coming
moved the
back?
table for us, Lucas.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And you could have realized the closet was locked before we got here.
Yeah, just give us a heads up on that. But I started driving Uber again this week. That was pretty exciting.
Good to know you didn't die.
I didn't die.
No. Who did you drive? Did you ask their name, or is that against the?
No, you
privacy
get their
policy?
name
Yeah,
when you
you
do
get their
it.
name
Like they
before
show
you
you
go.
what their name is, but they were okay. I mean, a lot of drunks the first night because I started the night that the Bengals played on Thursday.
That was
To be s-
probably.
I was out till 2 in the morning.
He was still smart because he got money.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of.
Money's good, but I drove around a lot more than I
Do
should
drunks
have.
tip well?
They don't.
They
No.
don't tip at all.
Hey, Dave's online.
Yeah.
Hey.
Welcome on, Dave.
He's close to being online.
I just
Oh,
sent him a
wow.
message, but he said he's in the middle of an event. He'll have to catch us next time. but-
Oh, so he's on his own thing then. Okay.
Wow.
Never mind. Dave's not really online. I got
Yay.
excited.
He's just joking around.
Yeah. So you find out where where they live and what their name is, and you got to confirm their name and all that stuff. But no, drunks don't tip well. People going to the airport tip well
Oh,
because
okay.
they're excited about a journey, and it's like they just want to live everything up. Like, oh, I'm going to France. Here's $1. Here's 50 cents. Here's $2.50. Here's so they
Well,
like to.
I should
throw
have
things
thought.
around.
How do you think people tip if they're going to an airport, but they're flying to somewhere like that's amazing that they've never been to before or that they want to explore, but they're going there for a funeral?
Well,
I think they'd still be appreciative. Like,
Yeah, because like I'm wondering if they would be too sad to tip well, or if they'd be like so sad that they want to make sure that someone else is happy, so they tip
Yeah.
you well.
it,
That would be relatively traumatic. Like, oh hey, I'm going to this brand new place I've never seen before for a funeral.
a destination funeral.
I'm
Yeah.
going to Hawaii to watch my grandma die.
Well, you're not. That's a little bit different. We went from
Yeah,
funeral
That's
to watching her.
that's called premeditated murder.
yeah.
Is what that is.
What if
That's called
people-
homicide.
What if people did funerals like they did weddings and they did it like big, nice open scenery
On
and
the
it's, like,
beach.
Machu Picchu. Funeral in Machu Picchu.
Well, Viking
But-
funerals would have been like that.
Oh, yeah.
Launch them out to sea afterwards.
And then you shoot an arrow and burn them to death on the sea.
I know that there are companies that do live stream funerals now, where like you can
Oh,
actually
that's
watch
fun.
the video. If you're not
Oh.
in the town, you can watch.
In the
video.
chat, everyone spams the crying emoji.
Yeah, that's the only reason they added the crying emoji. Was so
Yeah.
that people could
For-
express deep sympathy.
For
I
funeral
am
lives.
so sorry for your loss.
And then they accidentally like press the laughing and crying
Mhm.
button.
They're so close to each other.
Yeah.
Well, there's-
Accidentally click the demon emoji.
I heard a story about somebody that did like they thought that LOL meant lots of love.
Yeah, there's.
Oh
that.
yeah,
Well,
that.
that is one meaning for it. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, but to express sympathy to a family that's lost someone by saying LOL does not work,
Oh,
and that's the context that I heard the
Oh
story.
no.
I've heard something that happened to me that's kind of related to that. It was the worst part was it was on Minecraft. It was on the Minecraft chat.
Oh no, Minecraft server chat.
Exactly. What I did was, I didn't know that the acronym LMAO had a swear word in it.
Mhm.
I thought it was another way to say lame-o. So I called someone that,
okay.
and they didn't say anything. Like they were so confused, and I'm like, "Huh, you lame-o."
And it said disconnected from service.
And that was the last time you were invited there.
You got banned for cursing.
You gotta learn, that's
Yeah.
It
So-
takes one mess up. To
So
figure those
first point of this big acronym meeting,
Mhm.
be aware of what your acronyms mean.
out. Yes, absolutely.
Ooh.
And big acronym actually is an acronym, but I'm not
Yeah.
gonna tell you about that.
Believe in God,
No, you just have to figure it out over time organically. I'm not gonna give you any hints.
accept Christ.
No, stop it.
Oh.
Let's continue on with the scripture.
Give me the rest
and
of the
actually
thing.
get
I'll
this
remember.
started. Maybe someday.
Maybe
Oh, I was on the wrong
someday.
page here. So this is episode number 2, and we are on 1 Peter chapter 2. Let's begin with the first segment of 1 Peter chapter 2,
Cornerstone.
which is the living stone and a chosen people. Anybody want to read that?
I'll read it.
Do it.
Okay then. As you come to him, the living stone rejected by humans but chosen by God and precious to him, you also like living stones, are being built into a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood of offering spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. For in Scripture it says, "See, I lay a stone in Zion, a chosen and precious cornerstone, and the one who trusts in him will never be put to shame."
Thank you.
You're not welcome.
Now, what do you think about that? What stands out in that?
Living stone.
Yes, what is a
Because
living stone?
Stones can't live.
I immediately think of if you've seen Neverending Story, the old 80s movie Neverending Story, there's these like big rock guys in it that like are in a mountain and there's like, what's up? And they come out. Or maybe the trolls from Frozen that like they ball up like
Haven't seen
rocks.
Frozen either.
Of course you haven't.
You mean like the giant thwomp dudes from Mario?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
like,
that'll
They're
work too.
living
They,
stones.
One dude from Spider-Man 3, yeah.
That one.
That was sand. But those are tiny rocks,
Tiny
I guess.
rocks, yeah.
So yeah. That works too.
I was gonna say the monsters.
Oh, that was
in
Spider-Man
The Hobbit
too.
or
The monsters in The Hobbit.
That's all.
Those
I
are
haven't
all
seen that.
great examples of living stones.
Yeah.
And clearly exactly what Peter is talking
You know what I think about? I think about Cold Stone.
Cold Stone Creamery?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
What about
Me too.
Tombstone from the Spider-Man comics? Spider-Man 3 comics series.
Speaking of Spider-Man 3, it was on my sister's recommendation.
Wow.
No idea why. She went to go watch Stranger Things and their Spider-Man 3 book.
I think the only reason
It's
Spider-Man
like-
3 was created was because people used to confuse Tobey Maguire and Topher Grace anyway, because their names were so close and they were such a similar kind of look. So they're like, let's put them both in the same movie so that we can just forget all of this confusion and say, hey, is Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3? Yes. Hey, is Topher Grace? Yes.
I was actually confused when I was watching it.
Yes.
I was like, wait.
There's Topher
oh.
Grace.
He plays Venom.
Oh, great. Now
Oh.
I'm remembering something else.
He's
That-
also in that 70s show.
That's happened to me before. There are like two music artists on YouTube that I kept mixing up, and then they made a song together, and I commented saying, "Great! I always mix them up, and now they're in the
Yep,
same
and now they're
song.
together.
Isn't that great?"
It's a mashup just for you to make it more
Mhm.
Who
convenient.
was it? Like Rick
Spider-Man
Astley
3
and
was
Rick
just
Astley.
created for Bobby.
It was.
It was
Before
yeah.
he was born.
It was like in the Ten Commandments, like when the lightning struck down on them,
Mhm.
there was another lightning that struck down on a
At the
different
same
rock on the
time.
opposite side, and it said, "Hey, make Spider-Man 3 Samuel."
Yeah.
Samuel
And speaking of
L.
rocks, back to our living stones. If we're
Great
not referring
transition.
to those kind of living stones, what are we referring to? And why do you think it's so interesting to a man like Peter? Or do you know?
I think it's supposed to be like a metaphorical thing, like you are the rock, like Jesus is the rock, so he would be a living stone
How is he the rock? What makes him the rock?
because
Like he has
always
big
comes
muscles
up.
and
he's
tattoos?
not Dwayne.
I just got that. Took me
Yeah.
a second.
What
It's
makes
funny.
him the rock?
Because I'm trying to remember what the metaphor means to call someone the rock. Like they're sturdy.
Okay.
It's hard to move.
So
like, I can't
you're,
remember.
You're a rock because you're like unshakable. Like you're just, I'm here, man. You can't phase me.
I guess like untouchable.
Okay.
Like you're sort of like
I
no one
touch
can
a rock.
no one can like you're there.
Okay.
I don't remember what it means.
Is
Well,
it
maybe
like
somebody else
the-
wants to offer up their own thought.
Is it like
Yeah.
the build
Well, I
your house on the rock and not the sand?
It could be sort in a house building sort of way because of what you have to build a house on.
Yeah, because if you build it on the sand, it would just wash away.
But what is the part of the house that has the rock or the sand?
The
foundation.
foundation.
The foundation. Yes. And in this scripture, he mentions these living stones are built into a spiritual house. So it's like a rock that creates the foundation for the house, but then the house continues to grow.
Magic rock.
Like it's like a house that can keep adding stories on top of stories or something, but it won't be able to unless it has a good foundation. And then he mentions the scripture quote here, and talks about cornerstones, which would be what that foundation is. Here's a picture of a cornerstone.
It's beautiful.
Do you know what makes that a cornerstone and why that's an important stone?
It's at the corner.
Ah, yes, good job. Which one's the cornerstone of
Gold
these,
star.
of these three? Which one's the
The
cornerstone?
bottom one?
Yes. Actually, I guess it's really that one.
Yeah.
It's below my picture. The bottom stone is the first one that you put in.
Yeah.
And why is it important?
Well, if you pull it out, the house will.
That would be hard to pull that out, but And
It's not there.
I always pictured that first when I think about these scriptures about stones, because I think about the capstone too on an arch.
Okay.
The capstone being like the trapezoid
It's
at the
thing
top.
that holds
The thing that
Yeah.
holds it all together.
That if you pull that one out, the whole arch collapses.
Yeah.
So you think about that the same way you think about this. Hey, if you pull it out, it's going to collapse. But that's not really where the gist of the metaphor comes from. Like what makes the cornerstone such an important thing.
It's because
Now-
it's the very first stone to be
It
laid.
is the very first stone. You lay the cornerstone as the first stone. And a lot of new buildings you'll see they put the date on that cornerstone just to mark that this is where it began. But why do you start there and why is that important?
Well, you really don't start at the cornerstone. You start at the foundation where you have to dig the hole.
Well, yeah, but as when you're building
Good point.
the house out of rocks, you begin with one in that corner for a very certain reason.
To
Like
help.
you needed to be a certain rock in the corner.
To help with measurements,
Kind of. Take a look at this rock here. This is the best one to see in this.
90 degrees.
Yeah, like that's a very flush corner. Like these rocks here on the sides, those couldn't have been cornerstones because they're not nice and squared off.
They're just filler.
This one, that rock creates a corner. Like there's like a nice pleat right down the middle there. That's a beautiful line made by those cornerstones.
You also just have an obsession with lines too.
I do.
Yeah.
But you set that
What's his
stone
Instagram?
first because that's going to set the standard for how the entire house line falls.
Mm.
Like that creates where it goes. And for Jesus to be a rock, he would be the beginning of setting the standard for where those lines went if he were the cornerstone.
Sure.
And we're going to see later in the next section that he is referenced because it capitalizes the word. But the interesting trivia here is that Peter's name means rock.
Oh, cool.
And Jesus actually tells Peter in the scripture, he tells
Siri.
him that he's going to build his church on Peter as the rock. Like Peter is reflecting on what was told to him by Jesus to say, this is really what it is. Like, we need a cornerstone that sets the standard. Jesus called me that for the future of the church, but he actually was that for us to begin all of this, to say, here's the corner and this is where the lines are drawn and how we build our walls out. Because if that cornerstone's not a corner, then your house is going to look like the Pentagon or something else worse. Like it's
What's wrong
not
with the
going to be the
Pentagon?
squared, strong structure it needs to be.
What's wrong with the Pentagon?
Nothing is wrong with the Pentagon. And so cornerstones remind me of marching bands. And so this is a picture of a marching band
What are
in
they?
formation. And
Oh, football.
Is it yours?
it is not. I don't know who this is. I guess they're Panthers, wherever they're from. Or is that
I think it says
LSU
SS
or
I think it's
something?
GSU.
GSU?
So-
Oh, yeah, up at the top. I see it now.
Siri.
GSU. I don't know who that is. I'm not a football person.
Hey,
to know.
Siri.
But what are they making?
Stop eating my
But what's the relationship? How do you relate this to the cornerstone concept?
Because there has to be one person as a starting location, and then all the rest of the people build off of them.
Like, which of those people would be a starting location?
The drum major.
The drum
That's
major?
the one time, yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, they'd all be like out of step. and
Where are
all.
they?
For keeping time, for sure.
Where's the drum major?
As
In the back.
Formation.
as far
That's why
as
this is fun.
as far as a line goes, like let's just pick like this line here. If those people are marching into place, this person here doesn't see anybody else in front of them, right?
Mhm.
Right.
So this guy or girl knows that their position is on that line to start, and they have to kind of guess roughly where they need to start that line from, and they create the foundation. Okay? Actually, this is probably a better example. The way I always picture it, the first person sets the point. They are the foundation. The second person becomes the cornerstone in that line. Because this guy has no idea what anybody behind him is going to do. But if you know that you're trying to draw like a straight line like that, he sets the point, and then this guy determines the angle. See that? Like, if they all want to keep in line with each other, then they have to be in line with the second guy where he set the angle. he really should be right there to set the right line. I mean, based on where I would assume they're trying to do it from. He's offline, and they tried to fix off of him, and I'm sure that would, if they were being judged, that would fare against them, that they didn't keep that line. But you can see that through different spots there, if it's not flush. Yeah. The first person sets the point, and then the next person makes the angle, that they become the cornerstone that determines how the rest of your line is drawn.
Bobby, can you confirm this?
Yeah, sounds. Well, in our marching band, we're taught you shouldn't reference off of other people.
Oh.
But obviously, everybody does that.
Everybody has a position. When you're learning your formations,
Yeah.
You're either spray painting on the ground or you put little tags or something on the ground, so you know.
Poker chips.
Poker chips? Okay. So here's the hash mark, here's the line, here's the yards, whatever. This is where I'm supposed to be. But at the same time, for the visual effect of people in the stands, it needs to draw a line. It needs to spell a word. It needs to be straight. It needs to be the formation. Otherwise, you need to end up being relative off of each other rather than being, this is where I'm supposed to be because I know this is my spot, and then you end up being completely off from, It's kind of like the show must go on. Yeah. You have to stay with the band or else you're just some random guy. I'm right. This is where I go. I don't care if you guys are all over here in this line. I'm right.
I still can't tell what they're making though. It looks like a vine.
Well,
it looks like
it's a salt vine.
It's a football helmet.
Looks like a dude on a jet ski to me.
What?
Like a
I
headless,
see
a
it.
headless guy riding a jet ski.
You can
I
never
can kinda
tell
see it.
what marching bands are making.
You can if it's Ohio
See what?
State.
It's really, a lot
Wow.
of the times it's just the movement looks cool.
Yeah.
And
Rather
the
than-
feet are all in time and they're moving
Right.
in general. And then the music is happening as well and you're listening
Yeah.
to the music.
There's motion in sync with the music.
Yeah.
There's that one guy who's like,
Yeah, they're not all pictures. Sorry.
It's okay. There's that one guy who's like, this is where I should be. You're in the bleachers. This is where I need
He's
to
just
be.
in the bleachers, just sitting
Yes. Hot with a foot long and a big gulp in hand.
Mm-hmm.
We know the director guy is where he's supposed to be,
Where's
Yeah.
the director at?
up on the ladder.
The thing with the
field
giant
commander?
stool.
It's field commander, not director.
They're up
That
there
person.
telling everybody what to do.
Yep.
So-
That's where he goes.
Go into the bleachers and
Keeping
order
time,
me a
keeping
big gulp.
time. All right. Any thoughts about that? Cornerstones and Peter and Jesus and making lines.
Yes.
Marching band.
I think the marching band thing, I think that looks like a flame.
I'm pretty sure it's a football helmet.
It looks like fire.
Wow.
I think
You can see like the little
The
flame
front,
things coming
and then you
off
have
of
the
it.
guard.
And this picture might have been taken
I think it's
mid
like
transition where they
Oh, yeah.
haven't actually gotten to the formation they're trying to do. I just pulled a picture that I liked and there it is. So there you go. Let's go ahead and spin the wheel again.
You should have
Stephanie,
taken
give us a
picture of
wheel spin.
West Claremont's marching band. didn't you?
I will try real hard someday to get a West Claremont picture.
We've performed
It
like
was.
twice.
I'm still in training.
State of mind. We haven't done a state of mind
No, we
yet.
haven't.
So this is state of mind would be we mention a state and we all talk about it for 90 seconds.
So,
Pennsylvania.
Connecticut,
Pennsylvania. Oh, we have two states.
Rhode Island.
Georgia.
Oregon.
Pennsylvania
Oregon?
was first.
Oregon.
Pennsylvania was first.
Idaho.
No.
Pennsylvania was
Okay.
first. We're going with Pennsylvania.
Okay, so
And if there's no talk, then we have to spin the wheel again because it's a wheel of awkward silence.
you guys ever been to Hershey? It smells
Yes,
like chocolate.
twice.
Yeah, I have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
I
I
don't
think
know.
it was like.
Why
2
do they
years
call
ago,
it
too.
Pennsylvania and why is it shaped like that?
I don't know.
William Penn.
Why
It's
isn't it shaped like a
shaped-
pencil?
It's shaped like a bigger version of
Well, part of the line.
Connecticut. Now you look at Connecticut and you look at Pennsylvania and they're like the same shape, like same general shape.
Isn't it's kind of like it's flat on two sides and jagged on one.
And then yeah,
Little
So
thingy.
it looks like a lanced ingrown toenail. Kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Uh,
Pennsylvania's most
Hey, Nora.
is Pennsylvania's most distributed good pretzels?
Pretzels.
Like Pennsylvania.
That's a good question. Thank you, Nora.
I
Yes
said
or
pretzels,
no?
not milk.
There are a lot of pretzel companies in Pennsylvania. Hanover is in Pennsylvania, and Snyder's, so obviously is the biggest
And then
one.
you have Hershey's.
Hershey
That
chocolate,
one
yeah.
Bell with the crack in it. That's
That's in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that one
Mhm.
thing. Yeah.
where all the good cheesesteaks are.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say
I've
the
never.
big crack in it?
Yeah, the bell with the giant crack.
Did you say the bell or did you
Yeah,
just say
the bell.
The bell with the big
I
crack.
thought you
Okay.
just said the thing with the big crack in
Well, it is.
That thing
Can you
that's
call it
been-
a bell if it doesn't
Anyway-
actually do its job?
Oh.
Well, it can do a job.
yeah.
It's just if there's a crack in it.
No, but it doesn't-
The clamor or the whatever the thing I was gonna say, the ringer, like the bell is the shape, and then the thing inside is the ringer. So it wouldn't have to have that to be called a bell. It would just have to have the shape of the bell to be a
Okay.
bell.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it a clamor, clanger? It's something like that, isn't it? Clamor,
Clamor?
hammer.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Hammer
it's
sounds
hammer.
more accurate.
Have we all been to Pennsylvania? Has
I
everybody?
have been.
I've
I
been.
have not been
I was
any
little.
East. I've never been any more east,
Really?
What's the furthest east you've ever gone?
like Florida.
Like the east side of Cincinnati?
In Ohio, how far have you gone east? Have you made it to Adams County?
I have gone.
Well, you've
don't
been to
wanna
Butler
go to
Springs,
Adams
so
County,
you would have
let's
had to have
just-
been.
I have. Yeah,
Adam-
that's-
I've
that
been-
is
Yeah.
Right there?
East, yeah.
So like Peebles on 32 is about as
Yeah.
far east as you've gone. Road trip.
I've been.
Don't go any further than Adams County.
We
There's
will-
nothing to see out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey now.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
There's some good stuff out there.
There's West Virginia.
West Virginia is very pretty in
West
certain spots.
Virginia. Take me home.
Well, that's Pennsylvania, and now we know something about Bobby that we didn't know. We're gonna have to get
That
him
he's
out
an
there.
idiot.
We're gonna,
Oh, wow.
I think we're gonna have to spin to the compliment side of the wheel.
Yeah.
And you're gonna
Hey,
have to.
I said what we were all thinking.
If it comes up on compliment, you have to spend 90 seconds just complimenting Bobby.
That's fine.
That's it. All right.
I hope
It doesn't
this
say
happens
anything.
now.
It doesn't say
actually.
anything that it has to be from the heart.
Okay.
I could just like pull out Google and say best compliments.
Hey
Great.
Siri, will you compliment Bobby, please?
All right.
Oh, my
next
phone's gonna
section.
come on.
First
Hey
Peter-
Siri, you're an idiot.
1 Peter 2, 7 through 8. Who's reading?
I will.
Okay.
Now to you who believe, this stone is precious, but to those who do not believe, the stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone, and a stone that causes people to stumble, and a rock that makes them fall. They stumble because they will disobey the message, which is also what they were destined for.
I found the cornerstone.
Yeah, I don't think that'll work.
Fine, it's the living stone.
What do you think about that section? It's a lot of quotes.
Yeah.
But what does
Are they-
that mean?
What are they quotes from?
Wiki. Not sponsored by Smallfoot or any of these.
Oh, this one doesn't give me the. This is. I thought that I had both of them up. I just have the concordance up. I'm gonna say Isaiah,
Oh,
but that's probably not right.
very well. could be.
I'll look it up for you. Hang on.
You're gonna have to blur out the Smallfoot advertisement.
Oh, it's not helping that you're saying it over and over again.
I mean,
I don't even see what
Big
you're talking
hand.
about,
This is
so.
big hand.
Awkward silence. We better spin the wheel again while I'm looking it up.
Yeah. Spin the wheel. Look.
Harder than
Wow.
Oh, you'll
Look
find
at.
it soon.
Another state of mind.
Yeah, let's just.
Wait, let's stop it on.
Hey,
Compliment.
look, there we go.
Compliment.
Go, Owen.
Okay. Hey Siri, what are the best compliments you can give someone?
You can't share your mind because I have low power mode on.
Hey Siri.
It doesn't work.
Okay.
Hey, Vsauce.
Hey, Vsauce.
It's Michael
here.
Okay. So I do it for 90 seconds.
Here, I'll time it.
Yeah, time it.
I'm gonna time it.
Oh boy.
And you can't repeat.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna wait up to 15 seconds. Wait. Ready, set, go.
You're smart. You're a good trombone player. You know a lot about Spider-Man 3, and that's pretty cool.
We didn't say you had to talk really fast. That's gonna be harder for you.
Yeah.
Also, he plays. Wait, don't you play baritone?
Yeah, he plays baritone too. Yeah, you're good at all instruments. You know a lot of different instruments, which is pretty cool. You seem very creative. You like Freddy Freaker. That's amazing.
You're at.
You
Not
have
even
a lot
30
of-
seconds.
Yeah, you're
You
at
have a lot of
25.
friends. You have a lot of friends.
You
I
do?
assume.
That's surprising.
The way you talk, you sound like you're pretty good at marching band.
You have another minute.
I'm gonna put him
Oh,
out of his
crap.
misery. I'm gonna put him out of his misery.
You're
You
amazing.
can stop, Owen.
Okay.
No, I must keep going.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
43 seconds.
Okay, Google.
Not bad.
All right. So the first quote is from
Okay,
Isaiah
Google.
28, And the second quote is from Psalms 118.
Okay.
Alexa,
Play
what are good
Despacito.
compliments?
So what
This
is
is
what are they talking about here?
Um,
What does believing have to do with a stone being
because
precious?
Jesus is the living stone. Is that what we were making the?
That's
connection
what
to?
we're building off of.
Funny.
So if you're talking about believe as in reference to Jesus, now to you who believe in everything that Jesus said and did, this stone is precious. So it's the same stone either way, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you can believe that a stone is just a stone, like in a college or like the high school. West Claremont's got it. Like the bricks that are like they have people donated money and
Yeah.
it's like I mean you're just gonna walk across them and not think anything of it, but to somebody that one is valuable and precious because they know that they gave the money for that one. It's got their name on it or they have a family member's names on it. So
they gave the money to pay for the one brick.
yeah. I mean, we could have done that. We got the chance to do it. They sent a letter. It was like $5 for the little tiny ones, maybe, and then
No, it's like $50.
Was it really?
50 and 100.
I was thinking it was like $5 bricks for like the little ones.
That would be worth it. We wouldn't make enough money for that.
Oh, it wasn't to pay. You didn't pay for the brick. You were just getting extra donation to put your name on a brick. But maybe it was 50. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Now, to you who believe, this stone is precious. But to those who do not believe, the stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. What does that mean?
that somebody who doesn't believe is just another stone. I mean, nobody thinks anything of it.
In the reference to Jesus, the people who don't believe are like builders who rejected a stone, like
So is it like how we were talking about the stone has to be the nice
yeah.
angle?
If we're talking about builders, we're talking about the people who are building this house, whatever. They're going to pick a very specific stone to be the cornerstone. Like you have to look through all of them and say, this one's the square, this is the one I want to use as my cornerstone. And this rock that we're talking about is one that they said, nope, not going to work. This one is faulty.
Yeah.
This one is flawed. This is not the one we want.
There is another one of the crazy people, and stuff.
Right, exactly. So now, what is Peter saying about Jesus using that quote in reference to him?
So
There are no wrong answers.
So maybe they rejected like Jesus is the cornerstone, but he still is the cornerstone, even.
So why would he be rejected then? If you're looking at him from like an objective, is he good as a cornerstone or not? Why would he be rejected? What would make him metaphorically rejected?
Because it's something different than what people want to accept.
Yes. Very good, Lucas. Very good, Lucas.
Nice job, Lucas.
Bravo. Push the button. So
He needs some
Jesus, if there's any one good word that would describe Jesus, it's unconventional, which is definitely the way we're called to live, whether we want to accept it or not. Like we have to go against the flow. We have to be like willing to not be the norm and to not be afraid to not be square. I guess.
Like Jesus or you're square.
That we can actually change the world by being who we are. So the second scripture is a totally different reference, and it's harder to make a point about. But the first one,
I've seen that.
I think, is, you know where this is?
Yeah, it's in Loveland.
You go there every summer?
Yeah.
Really? With the family?
Yeah.
Cool.
You go to the castle?
Yes, I do.
I've never been
It costs
inside
it costs
Yeah.
$50 to get a photo shoot done there. To pay to like have pictures taken there,
I
you
think-
have to give them $50.
When I was younger, my mom was like, "Hey, let's go." So we went there,
Mm-hmm.
and we went.
Then when you're done,
inside,
you went to
but
the bowling
I just-
alley.
I just remember that we went to some castle, and I think that's the only castle around here.
It is.
So what's so
This is-
special about the castle?
This is Loveland Castle. It's right on the Little Miami River in Loveland,
Okay.
built literally on the Little Miami River. Every single one of these rocks was hauled by hand out of the Little Miami River by the guy who built this castle.
Oh.
One guy.
One guy.
Who also tricked visitors by making them do puzzles, and if they couldn't figure it out, they had to carry up a stone.
Really?
Wow.
I did not know that. The reason I put this picture in, not only because I'm sure there's a cornerstone in it somewhere, and it's probably on a corner.
Yeah.
But
What about the rounded edges?
well, that would come later. Like you would have to set your standard of this is my flush corner, and then you can build out from there. But you're going to have one corner to start with as the basis for all of it.
And you guys are wrong. You said this was the closest castle to us. It's not. You see, there's this place down the street called White Castle.
Yeah. Okay.
It's-
Thanks.
You
Ellen.
really
It's-
are hungry, aren't you?
Yes,
You
I
sure is.
am. I had a White Castle burger today. Okay, I'm hungry.
The reason I put this picture in is because when I got to go one time for a photo shoot, and they gave us a tour. They let us walk around, and the guy there said that because of all the rocks that he took out of the river, he actually changed the course of the Little Miami River. Like he pulled so much out of it that the river moved, which is like a folklore kind of thing, like a Paul Bunyan thing, like that he moved the river with one man, his own bare hands. He moved the river. That most other people would have rejected the idea. They would have rejected all these little rocks as being anything you do, anything other than throw back in the river. He just kept hauling them up from the river at different spots. So many, in fact, that he changed the river. And I think that's sort of fitting with this scripture, that this would be something that would have been rejected by other people. And now it's become something to stand for all time, and people go and pay money to look at and cherish. There's a group of guys that like run it, and they have their own like circle of, they're like a knighthood, like they've all been knighted, and they're yeah.
I want to be knighted.
You know where this place is?
I know where that is.
Can't tell.
It's a small picture, I'm sorry. This is Matthew 25,
Okay.
and
Almost every time I've been there, I got smashed.
these are like clothes here.
Okay.
5 minutes? Okay. Well, we're going to break after this point anyway. Why do you suppose I put in a picture of Matthew 25 here? Any guesses? If you know what Matthew 25 does.
Ooh, I know.
I have
Since-
an idea.
You have an idea?
What it goes along with what we are talking about, along with the castle, that others would have rejected the idea to spend their time not getting paid to volunteer and help out in this giant warehouse they have to keep up and pay for, and then take all this stuff in shipping containers and take it out to Colombia or other areas.
That's one approach to it. That's one lesson learned from it. That works.
I was
Yes.
gonna say that because people were homeless, they were being rejected by people, and that they weren't being like well kept and stuff like that, and people were accepting the fact that people needed help, and they were taking stuff and accepting it.
And then people who are
Another
rejecting it.
very beautiful theory, and that works as well.
game theory.
The reason I popped it in here was because the whole basis, the foundation for Matthew 25 began on rejected merchandise. The guy who started it learned through Procter & Gamble that like containers and products that had like a bad label on them, like it was misprinted or that something got printed wrong or boxed wrong or packaged wrong, that they were just trashing the stuff. He's like, oh, we can't put it on shelves. Nobody's going to want to buy it if the label doesn't look right. And he's like, hey, it still has value. It might be rejected by you, but it could be used by somebody. And that's where the ministry started. And now they just collect stuff from everywhere of people bringing in things that have been donated that were rejected by somebody at some point, by a company, donating old things or things that didn't look quite right, whatever. And they've made it into a foundation of a very, very successful ministry.
That's a good point. I have another idea that why you might have put that in there.
Why?
That building
You have 2
has
minutes.
a cornerstone.
What?
That building has a cornerstone.
Ah, okay. Maybe. I think it's a metal building. So
Yeah,
it has
it's a
has
giant
a corner
corner.
pole.
It's a giant warehouse.
Yeah, there's a beam in the
Warehouse.
middle. Okay. So that's a good point to stop because the camera battery that Leslie has is dying. And we will take a brownie break and come back to spin the wheel and get to our third point and our haiku. And welcome back. We have lovely brownie break, and we're going to go right to spinning the wheel. Give us a spin, Nora.
Dum, bum, bum.
That was a very powerful.
Oh, whammies.
Come on, Bill, you
Come
got
on, bankrupt. Come on,
We're rooting
bankrupt.
for you.
Give us
no, that's
bankrupt.
not gonna land on 2 clear points.
No. Oh, push the button again.
Let's spin again because we already did that.
Light spin.
Likely. Okay.
Or strong.
Come on, Will.
Come
You
on,
can
bankrupt.
do
I'm
it.
gonna get my haiku ready.
Go, go, go,
We're
go.
halfway haiku.
Come on.
We're gonna get this.
Push the button again.
Oh my gosh.
Our wheel is
Go,
ready.
go, 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 go.
No one's here. Not even.
Go, 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 go.
There we go. I
Maybe.
got something else.
200 points! We haven't gotten any points yet. Go, team!
200 points to what?
Go, team.
Exactly. 200 points.
Yay.
Come on,
We'll
big
try to
money.
keep track.
Was that the start of the chance?
Already figures here.
It might be. It just depends on how many more points we get.
This is.
So, are you
Yeah, you're-
that's going to be really Inception, Mike.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to say, Echo.
So we're gonna start. We're gonna do our halfway haiku now because it's a little over halfway. And
Because we're weird.
It's time for the halfway haiku.
Even though
So-
we get the haiku at the end.
Yeah, but I remembered this time, and I'm going to do it because I wanted to be a halfway haiku. It just sounds better. So I went back to my poem generator. poem-generator.org.uk/haiku.
Sponsored.
Yeah, they are really our sponsor.
Yeah.
And I put in the keywords. If you haven't tried it yet, you should go check it out. It's kind of a fun thing to do. You put in some subjects and some verbs and some adjectives. And this is what I got. Igneous base rocks, a famous builder become under the purpose.
That
Whoa.
makes a lot of sense. Definitely
I don't
some
think
grammar
so.
issues in there.
That's real.
A few. A famous, comma, builder become. Yeah.
Gotta specify.
Not related to the haiku,
I-
but should we mention our broken bot?
Oh yeah.
Not yet, because we haven't even done a random fact for today.
Well, the random. Oh, right, that's what he's for.
Yeah, that's why I
That's why
probably
he's
put
called
it in.
fact core.
He also, the fact core bot can do random number generation too.
Oh, really?
You tell him a sequence or a number thing, like rolling a die. You tell him how many numbers are on this, how many sides are on it.
Just because his voice actor is a guy, you assume it's a guy.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
You don't assume that Bart Simpson's a girl.
No, you don't. That's very true.
Wait,
So I
He's voiced by a
installed.
woman.
I installed Fact Core bot to try to get random facts more fun like, but Fact Core bot is offline across the entire internet, so that's not gonna happen. So I will give you a random fact if you don't think it's gonna come up on here.
He's
If
busy
it's not.
being a stalemate core.
Yeah, he's being a
He's being dense.
yeah, he's dead inside core.
His battery died.
You want me to just give you a random fact?
Do you?
Oh, I have one.
Okay. You have one?
I have one.
Well, give it to us, Lucas.
Africa is the only continent that is in all 4 hemispheres.
What?
Wow.
I didn't hear the first
I
part.
don't ever
Northern-
think about the
northern,
vertical
southern,
hemisphere
eastern,
line.
western.
I didn't hear the first part.
Africa is the only continent in all 4 hemispheres.
So
Oh,
it's
yeah, I
like,
think I've heard
it's
that.
like 4 corners in Utah.
Yeah.
Or New
It's like the
Mexico.
four corners.
It's like that only with Africa.
Except better.
The continent. So would it be one country in the middle of them? Or thank you.
It's not as good as WoW.
Maybe next
Why?
week will be really fun
So Africa needs some milk.
too. Done?
According to our-
Oh. Hey, are you saying that because they're hungry?
No.
Because.
And
Right, now I'm thinking of a
milk
dark
really
joke
wouldn't-
that Evan came
wouldn't
up.
Hydrate, really. It'd just make your mouth sticky and gross.
I assume I'm not allowed to say the dark joke that Evan
Yeah,
came up with.
no, you're not.
It's
No.
probably not a good
You're
idea.
not allowed to.
So let's go back up to here.
Yeah, I'll just tell you after.
Thank you for the random fact, Lucas. That was nice. I like that random fact. I'm not going to give you mine.
Humans are better
Oh.
than robots anyway.
Sorry, yeah, do it.
Like my random fact.
You want to say it out loud?
Can you hear me?
Speak up.
So I found my random fact at the B&B. That's pretty cool though.
Okay. 3% of the ice in Antarctica is actually penguin urine. Yes.
Oh.
It's so
Isn't that the
cool.
weirdest thing?
I want to lick
Kind of
it.
gross, but
Okay. Take my chances, lick the ice.
So,
You immediately think of that like, oh my gosh, that's disgusting if I ever ate that. But 3%
3% of all that.
of all of it.
It's not that much.
But everybody
But they
including,
walk.
but including under the water too, the ice
so if the polar caps melt,
Rip Club
3%.
Penguin.
Even, I mean, like, that would still be like millions of times more sparse than like pee in a pool. I mean, it's.
That's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get back to these pictures. You know what this picture's called?
the red vine.
The African.
The Red Vineyard. Yes.
Oh, is that how you say that?
Vineyard, yes.
Vineyard.
It should be vineyard, but it's vineyard. Do you know who painted that?
Is it Van Gogh?
That is Van Gogh. Good job.
It looks
Way
like-
to Van Gogh, guys.
This is gonna make me sound
I
like an
almost touched
idiot.
a Van Gogh in the art museum.
This is gonna make me.
purpose?
I would not recommend that.
Right.
I also would
Probably
not
not.
recommend touching a van going down the road.
Oh.
What's the van Gogh in Cincinnati?
Oh wait. It wasn't a Van Gogh. I forgot.
That's
Is
gonna
it
make me.
Picasso?
Van
There
Gogh.
might
Yeah,
be
it's
a van
probably-
Gogh in
I'm
Cincinnati.
probably
They
This
had,
is weird.
they had an entire exhibit for him in
Did they?
Cincinnati. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna sound like an idiot saying this, but
It was like-
was Van Gogh the one that made the scream?
Yeah. No, that's Edvard Munch.
He cut his ear
He
off.
cut his ear off.
Cut his ear lobe.
Just to make a painting.
Starry Night is
But
Van
didn't
Gogh.
Picasso
I think he
cut
sent
his
it
ear off?
to his.
Yeah, he sent it to his lover and then jumped off a Christian pub.
Oh really?
Van
Probably
Gogh's-
because she wasn't too flattered receiving it here.
He had some mental problems.
He did.
before.
He had a few. Van Gogh's most famous picture is Starry Night, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about this one? You know who that is? Who painted that?
Me.
The
The
one next to
signature's
me.
down there at the bottom. If you
Oh,
could read
Monet?
that. Claude Monet.
I was gonna say it looks like a C.
I don't know what the name of this one is.
Okay, Google.
No.
Captain Jack Sparrow strikes.
Spider-Man versus Captain Jack.
Yeah, that's today. Spider-Man 3. This time it's a
Spider-Man 3, 2. Fight of
Spider-Man 3.5.
This is called Meteor Hits the Bay.
Where's the meteor?
Mars in the sky.
Okay.
Blood Moon.
Okay. How about that one?
Wizard of Oz.
Third grader.
Nope. This was painted by a person who is famous for a picture of Campbell's soup cans.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, what's his name?
We learned about that person in 6th grade art.
Oh, we didn't. 'cause we
His
didn't
initials
have
are
to-
A.W.
Yeah, I'm not artistic.
Whitaker.
I'm not artistic.
Andrew Whitaker.
Why is it named something like
Andrew
That's
Walt.
Andy.
Andy Walt Disney.
Andy Walt Disney. That is his name. He later changed it to Warhol because it was easier to remember. But he started out Andy Walt Disney.
Andy from Toy Story.
Yes. So these three pictures were brought in, number one, so we could appreciate art, because it's always good to appreciate art, and I think that is an important thing. But they are also three really good examples of ways that artists were rejected. A lot of noise is going on. What's up?
This lady's trying to convince me something.
See what's going on.
Oh, okay.
She's-
Can you hand her the phone so she can see the pictures? Because she can't see the picture.
She's trying to convince
She's
me
gonna have,
go
you'll
the
have to
other way
swipe
with
up
her.
and see them, because I'm not controlling the view for everybody. I'm just controlling it for this.
She's trying to convince me to buy Milky Ways in her van.
Is this the one?
Okay, so this picture by Van Gogh is like a lot of pictures by Van Gogh. It's not, there's nothing about that that makes it spectacular unless you really appreciate Van Gogh, and most people didn't. Van Gogh only sold one painting while he was alive. And it sold for like what would be $1,000 for us in his entire lifetime. And now a Van Gogh averages like 60 million.
It's like
Right.
baseball cards.
Yeah, this
Pretty much.
Van Gogh, like this, there's definitely a style of that. You guys knew Van Gogh. Like this was the one you guys
Yeah.
recognized. That looks like Van Gogh. if you have your own style that people can look at and say, like, you can see like the swirls around the sun and tell that it's a really choppy, splotchy kind of painting, and you know it's a Van Gogh, then you've definitely made a name for yourself as an artist. That you have laid your foundation. That this is how I see the world.
Choppy
Only
and blurred.
Yeah. Only he was rejected as an artist when he was alive. Claude Monet is the father of what style of art?
Watercolor.
Brushstrokes.
Boring.
It's a theme. It's a kind of painting where you basically have to like squint. If you squint, it looks like a photograph. There's a name for that kind of painting, where it doesn't look like much of anything when you're right up on it, but if you get really far away, it looks like the thing it's supposed to be.
Who's Frido Bandito?
Dustin.
Okay, because he was on.
Okay, that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing to do with the paintings.
The name of the style came from a critic of his art who saw this artwork of Claude Monet and said, this guy has no talent, he has no skill, he has no future in art because his paintings seem more like an impression of something than the real thing. And he became the father of a movement called Impressionism that people model to this day. Good job.
It's the only style I did.
But it wasn't even a style at the time. It was a mockery. It was like in The Greatest Showman, when the guy in the article in the paper calls it a circus. He's like, hey, I like the name of that, circus. It was like that. This guy said, this guy paints impressionists. Like he doesn't even make it look like the real thing. But now we're like, oh my gosh, look at how that doesn't look like the thing, but it really does. And that's called impressionism. That was rejection. Andy Warhol donated this picture. The name of this picture is Shoe. Shoe.
Wow.
He donated it for free as a gift to a museum, and they gave it back.
Wow.
They didn't like it, and they gave it back.
What
Oh,
jerks.
I'm sure they're regretting that now.
They're shooting themselves over that one now. Yes.
Shooting themselves in the foot.
Uh-huh.
The shoe.
They're shooing themselves with a foot.
Shooting their cornerstones in their house.
So all of these builders.
Pretty cool. Now they're dead.
All of these builders rejected these stones, and these things later became capstones. Or not cornerstones.
Cornerstones?
Sorry, I'm mixing my two stones again. Sorry. These became the cornerstones. Van Gogh has his thing to this day. Like, there's actually a movie about Van Gogh now that's painted, frame by frame. The entire movie is paintings.
Huh.
Yes.
Like stop
It's
motion?
called Loving Vincent. You look that up. It's really, yeah.
Lately,
Every frame in the movie is a painting.
I'm confusing cornerstones with thunderstones.
And then, Claude Monet is just amazing. And Andy Warhol revolutionized the modern era of thinking of art and what was cool and what wasn't. And he was sort of like, he was fashion for his time. He was just like, dude, this is the way you're supposed to dress and what it's going to be.
And that's what you're supposed to eat.
He drew his own line, and he formed the river the way he wanted to form it.
He's probably.
Final section. Who's reading?
Alright.
Okay.
Okay.
But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light. Once you were not a people, but now you are the people of God. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy.
And I just realized I didn't turn the recorder back on, so we don't have the audio recording of that. So we have the camera's audio recording, we don't have that audio recording,
Huh.
which is great. Go ahead and hit record on that, so that we have it from this point at least.
On this right here.
Yeah.
We could add in like something.
Yeah, what is it? Hit it again. Okay.
Very close.
That took a few tries. All right, we'll get better.
So, you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, holy nation. What does that mean? Why and why does Peter keep talking about it? Peter mentions us being a royal priest, or the readers anyway.
I
the
feel like
people he's
we've done
writing
this
to.
at like a Be Creative before, and it.
That particular scripture probably did come up one individual day as a study.
Mhm.
But what is he talking about?
A chosen people. So, kind of like how Israel, I guess, was like the chosen peoples of God. They were chosen to do something for Him, in a way.
That's where it began. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Peter moved the ministry on from just the Israelites, just the Jewish people, onto the Gentiles.
Mhm.
That was his big vision, that he needed to move on. That he refers to chosen people. And actually this came up last week you were asking about, at the beginning of the first chapter, he talks about how he's writing it to the people who were scattered or dispersed or whatever. And you're asking like what that meant to be dispersed and who it was referring to.
Mhm.
And it actually, there are two different definitions for the dispersed, which I went back and looked it up to confirm that I didn't tell you total garbage. There are like three different people that reference it in the Bible. And the earlier back you go, the more it's talking about Jewish people, and the later you go, the more it's talking about Christians. And Peter is talking about just Christians in general. But the word is diaspora, or diaspora, one of those. James says it to the 12 tribes scattered among the nations, the diaspora. That when Israel was captured, and they were all away from their homeland for so long, several hundred years later, they've got nothing left. When they returned to their land, they just ended up scattering all around Eurasia and different little provinces and stuff. Because they didn't have a home in Jerusalem anymore, the people who returned from captivity just went everywhere. So they became the scattered tribes. They were the diaspora among just the area, the whole area. But the definition actually changes according to a lot of scholars. That when Peter references it and Paul talks about it, they're not necessarily saying it like to the Jewish people who came back and just scattered to live, but also to the people who have become believers since Jesus was here. You're followers of the way, and now you're out in the world trying to stay alive and be secretive, but also spread a message and continue to progress the church forward. Mm-hmm. And that's who Peter is most likely referring to, that you can become a royal priesthood. And so knowing that, if he were just talking to the Jewish people, they would know themselves as being a holy nation because God told them they were a holy nation. But this is Peter talking to Gentiles alike, not just Jewish people. So Peter has to tell them, you are a chosen people, you are a royal priesthood.
A royal priesthood, meaning like the heirs of the throne of heaven?
Well, in the nation of Israel, there was one specific tribe that was the priesthood.
Okay.
Like of the 12 tribes, one specific tribe was in charge of priestly duties.
Mm-hmm.
Like they all had their own responsibilities and stuff, but one tribe said, "We are the priests. It is our obligation to be the ministers to the rest and to speak for God and through the people and whatever." And now Peter's saying it's beyond just that. It's you guys are part of this elect. You have a responsibility as people of God to be priests and to be
Okay.
part of that priesthood.
That makes sense.
And then we're not all just the nation of Israel, but we are the nation of the world of Christians. You are not, once you are not a people, but now you are the people of God. Wouldn't that be awful to not be a people?
Yeah. What am I?
A slave.
And he mostly is
Oh,
saying it that they
okay.
were, it was before they knew of Jesus, before they were told anything about Jesus. They were people, but they weren't a people. Like they were just randos. in the world.
We were
They-
just lame people.
Yeah, they were LMAOs.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they were just LMAO.
Actually, I don't know that we actually said that in the discussion or if that came up before, but
I think it came in.
hopefully it's in there.
Yeah, you were talking about acronyms.
Yeah,
And then I
okay.
mentioned that.
Okay, so it must have been in there.
I don't even know if we're allowed to say that here.
We can edit it out if we have to.
Okay. Well, we're not actually saying the word. I think we're fine.
Ankles.
What?
Lamau, just say
Angles?
lamau.
Laughing my ankles off.
Oh, laughing my ankles off.
Uh,
Laughing my Adam's apple off.
So what
That's
Peter's
two
saying
A's.
in this section here is that
Compound word.
the by receiving the gospel, by receiving the message, by accepting it, you become part of this elect group, this chosen group, this predetermined people of God. You now have an identity that you didn't have before. So you yourselves get to be like those things.
You have to put a space.
You get to become cornerstones that at one point you were rejected. You didn't have an identity. You were just some random rock. And
And God shaped
you
us.
get adopted into God's castle, basically. And you become the precious cornerstone in this new giant thing that is just beautiful.
You know, I kind of saw where you were going with the paintings in a way. I feel like it was supposed to relate to the whole standout idea of the.
It absolutely
of
is.
the-
And that's the whole message of this entire thing. Like, I mean, there are lots of ministries that exist for certain purposes. That anywhere you go, you're going to find a ministry that's trying to help feed people.
Mhm.
Like that. Let's raise money to buy clothes for kids or buy food for hungry old ladies or whatever. But I want to reach a message to you, or to let the message be delivered to you. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm not doing the message well. I would like to push
Press a commercial.
a mission of adding beauty to the world. Because, okay, with anything that the church does, I feel like you can split it one of two ways. That when the church as a group does something beautiful, like they do a painting project, or they beautify a town, or they clean up a park, or they write music, or whatever it is. Let's just use that for example. We went to a church service today, which was weird. I mean, not the church service wasn't weird, but it was weird going to a church service and not not working there. And I'm pretty sure that at least one of the songs was written by them. Like they
that's
wrote
really
their own
cool.
song. Oh yeah, I love it, and it's a really great thing to do that. So this church, they wrote a worship song, and then the congregation singing it. Now, you can look at that one of two ways, I think, and I think a lot of people look at it what I would call the wrong way. Maybe they would argue that it's not, but sometimes people write music because they want to make sure that it's noticed, or they want to sell CDs of it, or they're trying to get it shared online to promote the church itself. Like if we write a song and we record it and then we put it on YouTube, we can put links to our church and we'll get people to like start sharing our church. This was our church that did this. This was our church that did this. Some beauty is created for marketing purposes. Some beauty is created for zeitgeist purposes. Marketing, zeitgeist. You're either putting something beautiful in the world for an agenda, or you're putting something beautiful in the world so that the world is more beautiful. And the zeitgeist part, like you're building the zeitgeist just by how you live your life. And if you don't put beauty into the world, when people look back on your generation, they're not going to define the zeitgeist of that generation as being beautiful in the ways that you could have made it beautiful, because you didn't put beauty into
And
it.
can you define zeitgeist for us all?
Zeitgeist is the spirit of the times.
Spirit of the time.
So your generation, your decade, whatever, is defining itself. Sure, let me make sure I'm still recording on that. Yeah,
Whoa.
sorry.
OBS.
I had to check that. I didn't know if I recorded that again. So your generation will have a definitive zeitgeist where people will look back and say, yeah, the mid 2000s to 2020 era was filled with this kind of thing and this kind of thing and this kind of thing. You define it like whoever speaks the voice the loudest,
Facebook,
that allows their
YouTube,
contribution the most,
Minecraft.
those things become the zeitgeist. So you have as much ability as anybody else to make your zeitgeist what you want it to be. So why not add beauty to the world? Like, picture like if somebody just painted a painting and just stuck it in a ditch on the road. Like, it doesn't seem like something that would make any sense, but anybody that drives past that painting is going to see something beautiful they wouldn't have seen before, and it just adds maybe 1% of 1% of 1%, like, life to the person. Like, it adds joy, it brings hope, it spreads love, whatever. Like, your emotions are lifted because of the beauty that's added. So we can choose to add beauty, and I think that we should. And I want to promote a ministry that encourages you guys to find ways of adding beauty. Like, and I mean, the best examples I know of are through like media things, like creating digital artworks and writing music and filming things, and like those are things that you can easily get out to the world to share and say, hey, here's a cool little video picture thing that just spreads a message that enhances an emotion, that just adds an ounce of love, you know? And if you're letting it reflect your own personal belief, you're allowing your ministry to spread in that zeitgeist. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that every episode there will be artwork to. If you have your own, I want to share it. Like, I keep making shout outs for people to give me your artwork so we can put up on the screen, and nobody's sending me anything. But I want you guys to start looking at music more critically, and paintings and things, to be able to say, this is what makes this painting beautiful. This is what's really awesome about this song, or the direction of this movie was really cool because it helps bring out this Jesus message or whatever, so that you can then do it yourselves better.
So can we have a timeout and talk about all the amazing things from a director's standpoint of Spider-Man 3?
I think that's happened quite a bit.
Yes.
Also, I do believe while we were talking
That was your tie-in, Bobby. Bring it back in.
Do you need to spin the wheel for
Yes,
us?
I
Okay.
do believe you should spin
It lands on you've never. It lands on
Spider-Man
you've,
3 is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, we're
it lands on you've never seen.
If
You've
it
never
does-
seen
First
Spider-Man 3.
We still have to do our word
No.
association no matter what. And
compliment.
Yeah.
Owen, compliment Bobby.
We already did that.
everybody one compliment for one other person.
And then we'll spin again because we already did it.
Leslie, those brownies were great.
Yes.
Nobody
Yeah.
else gets to do that.
Bobby,
Dang.
your knowledge on Spider-Man 3 impresses me so much.
I like yellow. That's a cool color.
you.
Yellow's a lit color.
Nora, nice hair.
The wheel,
Lucas,
really
I
like
think
all
your
your
I think your
colors, they're
glasses
really nice.
make you look intelligent.
No, you can't use it.
Bobby
You
just
already used
complimented
it.
the wheel.
When?
Last week.
Ew.
We didn't do compliment last week.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
did.
did.
Oh, we
Yes,
did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dang
Ready?
it.
Ready? Jesus, take the wheel.
Jesus, take the wheel.
And
Ah, darn, I thought we'd get
Almost.
shot.
Shout out.
Nobody's
well, there's nobody on Discord
Shout out to
to.
BibleBot.
Shut up.
I already shouted out to
No,
Dave.
shout out to Fat Corbot for being dead.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the people that aren't listening right
Wow.
Shout out to
All
Freddy
of-
Freaker.
Bars are peaking.
now. The other thing was like, this is
It's
flashing.
all peaking red bars.
Shout out to Samuel Raimi.
You only hit
Okay.
Okay.
Shout out to Freddy Freaker.
So I have one more video to show you before I show you. Before we need to do the word association. So last week we ended with the word SEA, and that was Lucas. So then it would come to me again, and my word is turtle.
Oh.
Dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feces.
Toilet.
Toilet paper. Okay then.
That's a good way to end.
Yeah. We'll go. It'll be paper then. We'll be the
Yeah.
last word. It's paper.
Paper.
Before you
Okay.
start the video, scroll all the way down. I'm gonna try something.
Colossus.
I tried. It didn't work.
It didn't work.
What?
He can only do. Just walk through.
Oh, Owen! Please don't do that. It probably would have worked if you had left put a space right there.
You
But
messed up the
Oh, thanks.
let's
Thank
try
you
that
for
later. Let's try that later, please, so we can watch the video now. Okay. I hope there's sound. I don't know if there's or not.
Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
No, copyright.
It wasn't actually Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
Yeah,
Gucci
that's
gang
copyright.
rock.
It's
Oh, there may not be sound. If my
Click on the YouTube.
my player is not playback devices. Oh, see, it's not even in there. You're gonna have to go look this one up later. Come to the Discord channel and click on this link. This woman found a bumblebee with no wings, and she took care of it, and they became friends.
I've heard of that. I heard that.
It's really adorable.
I've actually
But
heard of that.
Real life?
yeah. But it's a good. No, honey. It's a good example of a rejected thing.
Did you do it?
Like most people would just
No,
step
this
on
is
a
the
bee.
typing.
Most people would just say, "Oh my gosh, it's a bee. Oh, it
Still-
can't fly, so it's easier for me to kill." And she said, "Oh, it can't get to the flowers. I'll lift it up and put it on the flowers." And then it just started hanging out with her, and it was just
Stinging
adorable.
all the time.
Aw, I want to
Yeah.
do that with a coyote.
All right, so that's
Give it
all
to the
3
animal.
points.
Give my puppy to it.
We've done our wheel. We've done our shout outs. We've read all of our scripture.
But you
Does
know-
anybody have any final questions
Yes.
or
So,
comments?
okay, so in
It still didn't
Spider-Man
work.
3,
Owen.
so the Peter walks out of the cafe and like Harry's still in there. He's like after Harry was like, "I'm that guy who took Mary Jane from you." He looks across the street back into the window, and Harry looks at him and he winks, and then the car passes by, and then Harry's gone. So you think it's
He's a
prob-
ghost.
He's probably under the table. Right?
I would think that he was a ghost all along. Maybe it was his father, really. It was the ghost of his father.
Film theory.
The ghost of
Film
Father
theory.
Past.
Film theory.
Yeah, it was the original goblin.
He's like, "Avenge me, Harry."
That's what it was. I think that's the answer.
No.
Oh wait,
We'll all have to go
I
watch
have
Spider-Man
one
3
related
again.
to what,
Yep.
What?
I have something related to what we're doing today.
Well, please
Is it
share
this?
because
It is
that's
a
great.
Random fact about Jerusalem.
Okay.
Okay.
Jerusalem had been destroyed twice, besieged 23 times, attacked 52 times, and recaptured 44 times.
Go
Very sought
Jerusalem.
after city.
Quite resilient, that crazy Jerusalem is.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it didn't get its
Dang.
name changed like Constantinople or something.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for us today. Episode 2 of Standout.
And
Make
3, 2,
sure you're,
1. All right, we're here with
subs-
we're back here with Big Acronym. I'm Bobby. I'm here with Hunter, Lucas, Owen, and Sean.
Thanks for the
Thank
shout
you all
out.
for joining us on Big Acronym. So what are we gonna start with, guys?
Let's start
Is
with
this
the
a
ending.
never-ending
Yeah.
cycle or what?
That
Oh,
would just.
Mr.
Our
Kevin.
camera's about to die. The battery is going to run low.
Bye,
so.
camera.
You can follow-
Make sure you follow
Schedule
everybody and
time.
subscribe to everything and watch everything and love
Yeah.
everything and put a painting in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah.
Put a painting.
You
Go
can-
add art to the world and spread love.
You can follow Hunter at no social medias. You
Right.
can
Media.
you
Okay.
can follow me and Lucas at these Instagrams, and you can subscribe to us. And I'm a sellout. No one cares
Okay.
about you though.
It was good seeing you. Thanks for watching.
Like the video.
Bye-bye.
You better
know
come.
it.
You better
You
come
know what
next
time
week.
it is. It's time to spin the wheel of awkward
All right.
silence.
Bring it on,
We.
Curtis.